Battlefield.
Are you going for Q&A?
Yeah.
Okay.
Previous slide, please. So for years now, my wife and I have been sending money abroad. My wife came to the United States when she was just 1 year old, and so a lot of our family lives internationally. We've experienced every problem imaginable as it relates to sending money. Lost funds, delayed delivery of funds, high cost, low transparency. We've been part of this $600 billion a year problem, along with 232 million people that have family living around the world. We have solved for this problem. Many cases, people will get a paper check, drive all over town, and give up 10% of their money before money gets home to mom. Today, we launch Sendmi, a mobile app that allows for serving a non-consumption market. Sendmi is a global flex-pay solution that integrates with an employer's payroll system and allows employees to send payroll funds cross-border, top up mobile phones, and pay international bills. With each 1% reduction in the cost of international transfers, $6 billion goes into the hands of recipients. What we've created is a solution that is high transparency, lower cost. We charge as little as $1, where our competitors are charging $5, $15 and up, and a much more efficient process. So let me show you how this works. Cue demo, please. So you'll notice here that I've authenticated to my employee account, and I did that via dual-factor authentication. At the top of the screen, you'll notice an account balance. Now, that balance is held at a financial institution and is FDIC insured, which puts employers at ease. Each pay period, a portion of my income flows over into this wallet and allows me to send funds abroad. So I'm going to go ahead and send funds to Juan Rodriguez Moreno, who is our employee of Sendmi, also sitting out of Monterrey, Mexico. He has a bank account at Banorte. We have built a direct connection to the Central Bank of Mexico, which allows us to do an instant transfer to Mexican bank accounts. So I'm going to go ahead and send $53 to Juan, which equates to 1,010 pesos and 18 centavos. Yeah. Now, I'm only going to be charged $1, which is only 20% of the industry average for sending funds abroad. When we hit send, you'll notice a little spinner pop up in the bottom right-hand corner. Once that completes, the funds are sitting in Mexico. So let's go ahead and rope in Juan, who's sitting in Mexico right now via video conference, to verify that he's received the funds. Hey, Juan, how are you?
Hey, Paul, fine. You?
Doing great. Hey, we're here at TechCrunch Battlefield in San Francisco, and I just sent you some money. I'd love for you to pop into your Banorte account and let us know what you've received.
Sure thing. I actually logged in ahead of time, and I'm refreshing my transactions list. You can see that I have a 1,010 pesos and 18 cents transfer from Paul Proctor at 3:32 p.m.
Central Time.
Central
It's
Time.
just that easy, folks. So, back to the presentation. We allow for, thank you. We can also send funds to a network of over 10,000 BBVA ATMs in Mexico. With a 16-digit code, a recipient can show up at an ATM and retrieve funds. Now, it's important to note there's virtually no interoperability between banking networks. We're creating that interoperability by building partnerships. We've partnered with the Central Bank of the United States. We have a direct connection to the Central Bank of Mexico, and we're working on additional connections. What we're doing is creating a new category. We combine payroll with money service business, and in so doing, shift user behavior, reduce regulatory costs, and reduce customer acquisition costs. We tap into the $33 billion that's traveling between the US and Mexico as our beachhead market, but this is easily extensible to the $134 billion market that's outbound from the United States. And that's just the beginning. We charge between $1 and $4 up front and 2% in foreign exchange, but ultimately, we're driving the cost of the international transfer to zero. We offer value-added services like cross-border bill pay and phone top-up services, insurance services, so that that gets reduced to nothing. We also shift the payer from the employee to the employer. We distribute the products through banks, payroll providers, and direct to employers. And we're currently in active conversations with some of the industry's leading players in these verticals. Now, I've lived in Mexico. I've lived in Argentina. I have a rich history in financial services, a couple founder experiences, and an exit. My co-founder, Paul Ahlstrom, is a serial entrepreneur. He started the first tech fund in Mexico and has had multiple exits. Every single member of our team have deep experience with this particular problem, and we're the team to solve for it. So, employers, diversify your benefits offering by partnering with Sendmi. Employees, demand that your employers participate with us and save money. And banks and payroll companies, partner with us to bring global flexible payroll to the world. Thank you.
Judges, who's got the first question?
Who's the decision maker at the employer when you're trying to sell in and convince them to have Sendmi as part of the HR solution?
So it's most typically the head of HR, but oftentimes we're talking to any of the C-suite and that decision gets pushed down to head of HR and then that's the decision maker.
And are there any usual sort of hurdles that they have concerns about? Anything that would cause them to feel?
You know, the fascinating part is that we're early, but we have gone out, and as we've sold this product, when we get to a decision maker, we have a 100% hit rate. The most tepid response that we've gotten was from a plastics company, and they said, hey, come show up, spend some time at our facilities on a Saturday, and if you can sign people up, then you can offer it with us.
Yeah, he said, I don't think anybody's going to want this, but they might once you come present to us. And so we're really the only group that's ever approached them with this new payroll benefit.
So the value proposition to the employer is a retention, or how are you thinking about proposing it to them?
Employee retention, it provides an opportunity for the employees that are cashing a paycheck, leaving work, sending money home to actually save a little time, but it also gives them a little pay raise, but it also brings them inside the financial system. So there's no reason for their paycheck to leave the financial system, leave it inside, and it becomes a financial inclusion product that provides other benefits to that individual.
How did you acquire the deals with the U.S. Fed and the Central Bank of Mexico, and is that a moat?
Years of pain.
It is absolutely a moat, by the way. I mean, there's a spectacular amount of work that has gone into kind of what we've created here. People don't understand how difficult it is to do that.
Could you talk a little more about why that is so difficult or
Well,
unique?
we started by using the existing financial rails, saying, well, let's just use cross-border ACH to send money. On our first test, the money didn't actually make it to the recipient, and there's nobody to call. And so cross-border payments is actually a very, very difficult area, and it's expensive. So the U.S. financial system is not connected to the Mexican financial system, so we're the glue that puts them together. And so we had to build an API connection into the Central Bank of Mexico. We have an access to a Fed line in the United States. And so we take those services so we can move money around the United States and we can move money around Mexico, and we're the glue that creates the digital wallet. So all of the money goes into an omnibus account for the individual, all the employees, and we manage the sub-accounts and we can move it around cross-border.
How are you building and managing and prioritizing your sales funnel into the employers? How are you, what's your first target set for employers to getting this into their payroll?
Well, so if you think about what we're doing here, we're attempting to bring clean funds into the system. And the reason we tap into payroll is that instead of just taking money off the street, we're building a natural barrier and saying, well, we know exactly where these funds are coming from. They're coming from Marriott Corporation, or they're coming from somebody else. And so we go to the top end of the market because the top end of the market makes the most sense to make sure that that integral system stays intact. And then we move downstream from there. So to answer your question, it's the Fortune 1000 that have various thousands of employees that are foreign nationals working for them.
And what's the size of your sales team? And what do you?
You're looking at it.
It's tough in 6 minutes to get a deep understanding of the business, but maybe this question could help frame it for me. How do you compare or contrast yourselves to Payoneer in New York, which has been focused on payroll solutions cross-border for I guess over a decade. Where do you
Yeah.
start and they stop, or what's the
It's a good
differentiation?
question. We're not cross-border payroll per se. You're paying an employee in an emerging market. You're paying a U.S. employee. And so you're now enabling that U.S. employee to then pay bills back home for their mom, send money home, send money to an ATM, get a loan. So you're putting that person inside the U.S. financial system, and as opposed to just being a pure payroll process.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and some of the same use cases, though, out of country, with some of the similar use cases, right? Payoneer is in your business, and maybe I'm not following that aspect, but.
Well, we're not paying people cross-border. They're actually in the United States.
In the United States,
yeah.
But, okay.
But if,
maybe we'll talk
I'll
more
chat
about
afterwards.
Yeah.
but if I understand the solution correctly, the recipient has to have a bank account.
Well, so that's the interesting thing is if somebody's getting a paper check, basically all we're saying is, hey, you can continue to get that paper check. We'll carve off a portion of it, direct it to the wallet, and then they can operate it there. And because we sit...
Oh, I'm sorry, I meant the cross-border recipient. At least in the demo you showed in Mexico, it was actually deposited into a Mexican bank account. And I guess I was trying to understand what % of the market, in this global transfer market, which we know is enormous, the recipients actually have bank accounts.
Right, answer quickly.
So certainly for demo purposes, it makes more sense to show that we can send to a bank account.
Yeah.
The ATM network is a great way for Mexicans to be able to retrieve funds. Okay. And then we're in conversations with some major players that would allow us to get into the top markets around the world. So all of Latin America, Southeast Asia, et cetera, et cetera.
So our physical cash out, you can pick up money at an ATM. You don't have to have access to a bank account. You can pick up money at a pharmacy in Mexico. You can pick up or you can pay your mom's bills directly. So the bank is just one of 4 mechanisms in terms of how we transfer value into emerging markets.
All right, one more round of applause for Sendmi.